So here I am in my car, in the carpool lane, waiting for my boys, which is exactly not the place that I planned on doing this video. I had big plans this week, but the stomach flu definitely won. And instead of acting on my plans, I had to kind of get into my cocoon of self-care and nurse myself back to health. And through doing that, I learned a lot. First and foremost, I learned that when I surrender, things happen that I didn't plan on. And I also learned that even if those things look really negative and really bad, that there's always a jewel buried in those ashes waiting to be found, that there's always a phoenix waiting to rise from the ashes. And for me, the phoenix was realizing that even though I feel alone a lot of the time in the things that need to be done, even though I feel like I'm the only one that there is to get them done, and life needs me and it needs to happen, and I'm the only one that can take care of the certain things in my life that need to be taken care of, I was shown that there are amazing people around me that are willing to step up and step in. And honestly, I don't think I would have known that fully the way that I did unless I was put in a situation where I needed them. And so it forced me to be more vulnerable. It forced me to allow people into places to ask for help that I normally wouldn't ask, because I feel like I should be able to do it. That's an old pattern for me. And I feel like through having the stomach flu, being immobilized with that, I was able to break some old patterns, and I was able to become aware of some amazing things around me that I wasn't 100% aware of. And that's the beauty from the ashes from this week. And it's also the lesson that I've learned this week from surrendering fully to my life and allowing myself to succumb to the plans of reality instead of maybe what I would have planned. And I learned a lot, even from what seemed like the worst case scenario for me. In some ways, it became the best. And so for that, I am so grateful. Another thing I learned was I binge watched The Crown, the series. That was another plus. I had some time on my hands to catch up on some serious TV and some serious Netflix that I don't have time to watch when I'm not immobilized in a bed. So by watching The Crown, one of the premises of that show is that the royal family is there to feed the people an ideal to strive to. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that's exactly what fairy tales do in our society. They give us this ideal to strive to, that we think that we should strive to, that we think is even possible to strive to. And the funny thing is, in The Crown, none of those people were living the actual life they were presenting. They were just presenting it. So what was really going on behind closed doors was a lot of pain, a lot of misery, and a lot of sadness. And yet they were giving the people this perfect picture. So the way that I related that in my own life and my own kind of history is social media even. It's something that feeds us ideals because people love to put the best parts of their life on display. I do it. We all do it. It's not fun to put the miserable, dark parts of our life on display. That's not a great feeling to do that. So I'm not judging that. I'm just realizing that one of the symptoms I think that's happening from doing that is that we can feel crappy, that our life isn't the way that person's life looks. And so we end up comparing and despairing. And that, when in reality, those might be the best parts of that person's life, but we're not seeing the challenging parts. We're not seeing the intimate ins and outs of their every moment, which if we were to compare to that, we could relate to way more than just seeing the good parts. So just realizing that that it's not realistic to have this fairy tale ideal to strive to, but that part of what I'm trying to do, part of what I feel like brings true happiness, is to surrender to the life that we do have and be in the moment. And by doing that, we become our true face. We become closer to our true face, which will be the ideal for our life. It's just for our own life. And for nobody, we can't compare that to anybody else, because nobody else has our true face. There's only one true face for each person. And my true face is different than your true face is different than his true face, etc. So I really thought about that it's so easy to get caught up in that cycle. And I really want to remember that fairy tales can be toxic. Fairy tales can set us up for disappointment, because they don't even exist a lot of the time. But what does exist is our truth. What does exist is our everyday. What does exist are the people around us, just waiting to relate to us about things that are real and intimate and vulnerable. That connecting with people on that level is so important, and it's so much more important than putting on a facade and putting on a mask and being something that we think we're supposed to be, or trying to reach an ideal that we think we're supposed to reach, because all that leads to is misery and despair. And I truly believe that the thing that leads to happiness and fulfillment is letting all that go and grabbing on to our true face. So I hope y'all are grabbing onto your true face this week, letting all the fairy tale stuff go, letting all the ideals, the could be's, the should be's, all that stuff, being in the moment. And I would love to hear about some of your experiences if you guys want to share in the comments below.